Welcome back to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. This is your host, Daniel, part of the DNA. So I hope everyone is doing really, really good. I know I took a break since November, actually from Pest World is the last time we actually threw out a new episode. So thank you to everybody who has been still downloading the podcast, has, been soaking up the information, learning. I have been out there learning as well. If you're just new to this and you're just jumping on in 2022, you may have gone back and listened to a few episodes. If you haven't, go back to the beginning. You can listen throughout. But just a quick recap on me and what I do. I am not just a guy who does a pest control podcast, okay? I actually do a lot more than that. So I am a business owner of a pest control company. I happen to purchase that company from a family member who started it, who didn't get his licenses or anything like that. And so I ended up taking it over. I went from a door-to-door salesman to teching and working 7 days a week to build a business. And from there, I am still building a business. So the great thing is I do not have to be in a truck as much as anymore, but that does not mean I'm not busy learning and doing technician things. And so the DNA Pest Control Podcast is here to help. I want to spread this information. I want to give it to you guys. I want to let you know what I know. And the reason behind that is actually because when I stepped into the role of becoming a technician before I owned the business, all the technicians around me who were in the industry for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, all they said was, go figure it out. You need to run a route. You need to run a route. You need to run a route. And that does help a ton. But also that kind of defeats the whole purpose of, learning from other people's mistakes, right? So I've created this podcast to give that information to you, to open that door on some of my secrets, some of the things that I know and that I've learned in the past now almost 10 years doing this. And so I want you to know and learn from my experiences and don't go through the same mistakes that I made. Now, why I did a little break, for those who know and those who don't. So after Pest World, it actually got pretty crazy on my side of things. A little bit behind it is once I got back from Pest World, usually that's the slow season, right? Everybody knows this in the pest control world. You have your ups and your downs. Summer typically takes off. It's warmer weather, more bugs come out, things like that. But here it actually never did. So I was expecting one thing and the exact opposite happened. And so instead of kind of ticking down and getting into the off season, that's when I go on vacation. That's when I kind of take my time to rethink everything. We had really big meetings in my office with, my management team. And from there, we hit the ground running, and we hit it hard. And we were running fast. So not only did we not take a dip and slow down, we actually took off. And from there, January has beat out every single month in the last year so far. So we're growing like crazy. We just keep going, and it just doesn't stop. It hasn't stopped. So January beat our best month, which was midsummer last year, which is awesome. And February we already beat January. So it just keeps getting better and better and better and better, which is awesome and good news. Apart from that, not only my original company has been doing that, but the new company I got, we have yet to dip down. We just keep ticking up and up and up and up and up. And so it's been really crazy on my side, but now with everything kind of ironed out, we're kind of in a good rhythm. Now I have time to step back in and focus a little bit more on the podcast and throw out some more episodes from you. I know there's some people out there that want to do some episodes with me. We'll try to collaborate and we'll try to get that going so you guys can get some more information out. But that's kind of why I stepped away and why I'm coming back. I didn't forget about any of you. It's always been in the back of my head. My wife's been pushing me to get back on the podcast. She likes me doing it. She wants me to keep doing it. And so she's always been there saying, hey, you need to get on. You need to do this. You need to do this. So now I finally have that time and let's get it going. Let's get it back at it. Let's get back at it. So anyway, that's kind of why I took a little bit of a break. And for anybody who knows, that's why I've been doing the podcast, is to teach you what others wouldn't want to teach me. And in this industry, it's kind of funny, right? We get technicians, we get other companies, and everyone has their own little flavor they like to put on things, which is cool. But we all can buy the same products. We all can buy the same things. There's nothing that you can get that I can't get. Actually, that's a lie. If you live outside of California, there's a lot of stuff you can get I can't get. But if you live inside of California and you have a pest control company inside of California, we can all get the same products. There's no special product out there that you can get that I can't. And so really it comes down to techniques. It comes down to processes. And that gets me into what kind of happened for us in this off season that kept us strong and very, very strong and very, very busy. And it came down to, I put a lot of thought into it, right? Because everyone kind of goes through the motions. If you own your own business, your management, whatever it may be, there may be times where you're like, man, why does this happen? And if you don't ever think that, then you may have some bigger issues on your hand that you probably should really start thinking about. But for me, I went back and I thought, why did we keep growing? Why did we start to go up and not go down? What was the pattern there? What happened? And a big thing is it was, we're a small, I hate to say it like this because it sounds bad, but small mentality, right? Not that we don't think big. In my business, we think very big. We look, we set goals, audacious goals, very, very big goals, and we want to hit those, right? So, but our small mentality is, we're small in the sense of we treat every customer with a personable feeling, right? So we're very personal with them. We understand their needs. We go after their needs. We handle those problems as they arise. Where bigger companies, they don't have time to spend, with their guys. And so if you are management, you're an operator over an office, and you happen to hear this episode, this is a huge one to change that culture. So the biggest difference between us and a ton of other companies, and possibly even your company, is people don't look at me as the owner. I didn't want that. And the reason why I didn't want that is because I didn't want to get sucked into constantly having to get everybody's needs covered by me. I wanted my guys to do that. So I created them as the owners. They're the owners of their route. They're the owners of their customer. If they had an issue, they have to resolve it. They have to do those things. And so that small mentality of each guy is their own company, each guy is their own owner, that creates that mentality of, if something goes wrong, it falls back on them. They need to cover it. They need to handle it. They need to do it, not me as the owner. Now, I handle the big scheme things, right? I'm in the background. I'm handling everything. But when it comes down to little problems, I don't jump in. I don't help. They have to figure that out. I make some of those things known. If I get brought into it, I make it known to the right management, and the right management lets it known to the technician, and then the technician has to handle it, has to get it fixed. So that's the difference between the small mentality to the big mentality, right? So you get the small mentality and we take care of each customer. Like I just had a guy send me a picture. He's out in Woodland, and I sent that information to the office. The office called him. The office handled it. They got it all taken care of. I had another situation where there was some issues with the customer, and we actually fired the customer. And you may say, what? You got rid of a customer? And we got rid of a customer. And management, the person that was over those accounts, they got rid of that customer. Now, a lot of you are like, you're crazy, dude. That is absolutely just nuts. Why would you fire a customer? Why would you walk away from someone? And this comes down to that small mentality, okay? Big companies wouldn't fire anybody. They would just keep rolling with the punches and going after them. The smaller mentality, where we can actually take care of each customer, is we have pride in ourselves. And not all small companies have this, and not all big companies don't either, right? So you have a lot of very large companies that pride themselves in certain things. One of them is Apple, right? You look at Apple and their fan base is stupid. I mean, stupid. We can break it down. I don't care if you're an Apple lover or not. The Apple lovers are psychotic. And the reason why I say that is because it doesn't matter how much a phone costs. It doesn't matter how much a laptop costs. It doesn't matter how crappy their products can be, or they put them out without getting all the bugs fixed. People jump. If Apple said, hey, look, if you jump off this bridge, you'll get a new iPhone, people are going to start jumping off of bridges to get new iPhones. That's how stupid some people are. But the cool thing about that is they have a pride in themselves that's bigger than everybody else. And their pride is they don't budge. You don't get iPhones on discount, do you? Have you ever noticed that? Doesn't matter where you buy them, they're all the same price. Have you ever seen that? You may get some phone companies because you signed a 2-year contract. You get the iPhone for a little bit cheaper, or you have to turn in an iPhone, or you have to change companies. But you know what? Apple doesn't take a hit. The company does. T-Mobile does. AT&T does. And so that's kind of the small mentality, the pride that you have to put in yourself. Now you go to the exact opposite and you have Microsoft, and you do have fanatics over Microsoft, but Microsoft's big thing is discount, discount, discount. You can get a tablet for half the price of an Apple tablet, right? An iPad. You can get it less. And so, where there's that difference is they're not lacking necessarily in their confidence there, but they're lacking in their price. They're lacking in, hey, you know what? If we sell it for half the price, we'll sell double, or let's hope we can sell double. And that's not always the case. But in our business, that's what we had to do. So that small mentality brought this customer in. And unfortunately, this customer became an issue. He brought us 3 properties, and now you're going to think I'm even crazier for getting rid of him. He paid once. We did the next service, and he stopped paying. And he kept fighting the office and fighting the office and fighting the office. Finally, I did have to get involved in this one. And we got it resolved. And we still had issues. He didn't want to pay again. And we did some specialty services. He didn't want to pay. And so finally, the office took ownership and fired the guy. And he came into the office actually to pay. Finally, after wasting a ton of our time. And he said, okay, when are we getting scheduled next? And they said, you're not. And he started to freak out. And we just had to essentially give him the truth and say, hey, look, you didn't pay. You didn't pay on time. You haven't been paying us. You haven't paid us for 90 days. That's 3 months. We're done dealing with you. You constantly, you're a brand new customer, but you're an issue. And for what you bring us, you're not worth it. And so at some point, that small mentality needs to increase, that self-pride, the knowing that your services work and you're going to get it done. Okay, that was one customer and one example. I want to give you another one. So another one, he is actually one of the head guys over a food chain in the Sacramento area. So they do franchises. So they buy a bunch of franchises. Anyway, when we first started with them, it was a different company. They came in, they bought that company out. We had about 4 locations on 5. They slowly started adding a couple on us, and we started taking care of them. Now we're to the point of loyalty with them that we're so good, and they know it, and we take care of them, and they take care of us, and they take care of us by paying us, and they pay us what we want and what we need. And so it's a win-win situation on both sides. I don't feel cheated, and they don't feel cheated. And when you get that relationship, when you have that pride, you'll never lose that. 60 locations later, we cover everything that they do, other than a few areas that are a little outside of our reach. But other than that, if we called them and said, hey, we want those on now, guess what they do? He says, okay, here's the list. Choose what you want. We'll fire the other company now. You just tell me. And they get rid of them. Doesn't matter how small they are, doesn't matter how big they are. We are priority number 1 in his eyes, because he knows when we go out to one of his restaurants, not only are we going to do the service, but we're going to do anything extra we need to do. And we're also going to let him know, is the store clean? Is it not? Are there any issues going on? Are there any potential issues? And we're constantly going above that. We have some overnight runs that we do on these restaurants. And I've had a guy come back and he said, hey, I took pictures and this restaurant is disgusting. Guess who gets those pictures? This guy does. And then he goes in and he starts whipping these guys into shape so that he doesn't get a store shut down. Not only that, I just went out to one of his new locations that we added on, and I stayed. I didn't have to. I did my work. I stayed and waited for another 45 minutes till the health department showed up so that I could get them passed because they got shut down. So that's kind of that difference of small mentality. Are your guys doing that? Are you currently doing that? Or are you in the place of, I go get the job done, I hurry and run to the next one, and I need to get the next one done, and the next one done, and the next one done? Or do you have that mentality of, not only am I going to get this done, I'm going to do the best job I possibly can, and I'm going to go above that, and I'm going to make sure that they pass. I'm going to make sure this is going to happen. Okay? Now you say, that guy has 60 locations. Of course you're going to treat him awesome, right? Even the guy who gave me 3 places, his home, his church, his restaurant, he actually had a health department show up. I went over there the same day that the lady was there. I made sure they didn't get shut down. She was going to shut them down. But since I showed up and I did the work right there with her, I made it so that they wouldn't get shut down. And he still treated us that way. So at the end of the day, I feel good about what I did. But that also starts bringing in a culture of, we're better than the next. And from there, we have now started taking over very, very large facilities from the state, from private, equity companies, from private companies. And from there, we just started taking off. And that mentality change really created a ripple in the system and with all of our clients. And when we go and do sales, when we go and do estimates, we have just taken off from that. So keeping that smaller mentality, that more personable mentality, creates something way different that you've never experienced. And so keep that in mind when you're out there. Keep that idea in your head. Are you doing the absolutely best you can do in treating that customer next level? Even if you're a tech and you're just listening to this, you're running with a guy, you're running under a guy, you work for me and you listen to the podcast and you're just doing the job. You taking that step, you treating every customer, you handling everybody's need puts you 5 times, 10 times, 20 times higher than everybody else. None of the other techs will be able to catch you. Not even management will be able to handle that, because it's all about your procedure. It's all about how you treat each and every one of your customers, how you're handling those issues. That's why we've switched people over. That's why companies move to us. That's why we've been able to get contracts that nobody else can get. A big monster one that I'll call out, maybe somebody from Ecolab is listening. I've never met an Ecolab tech, but we just took away one of their largest accounts in Sacramento. And the reason why we did that is because we were doing stuff that the other people didn't do. We customized our service to their needs. And no, we didn't compromise on price. That's the best part. We're getting paid very, very well to go out and do this, but we're doing it to their need. We were at this facility every day for 30 days, getting paid every day for 30 days. They had a massive start fee. They paid it. They didn't even care. It wasn't a question of price. It was a question of, are you going to handle it, and how are you going to handle it? And so when you're creating that small mentality, that personability, that finite plan for that specific person, you start to create something else. Now, the bigger companies, the larger corporations, this is what you got. It's the spray and pray mentality. Here's your chemical, go, go, go. You may not be able to customize every service to that person's need because you just don't have the chemicals, the products, certain things like that. But do the best that you can with what you have. And that's going to start creating something more, because each customer not only is going to absolutely love you, but you're going to take that next step forward. Now, don't fall into the trap of being that best technician on the route and not teaching others how to do that, because that's how you grow. So if you're just a route technician and you want to become management, you need to be willing to teach people, teach others what you're doing and show those leadership skills. Now, in some companies, the bigger the company, some of those leader, management, some of those positions aren't going to open up until that person dies or leaves, right? So it's kind of hard to have that drive to really push that. But even then, pushing in that direction, as long as you're gaining that habit, somebody outside of that, a smaller company, maybe even a different industry, is going to pick that up and turn you into something great. So it's all creating that habit. The world pays you what you're worth. And if you're not worth anymore, believe me, the world's not going to pay anymore. They'll pay you what inflation pays, and that's it. You're not going to get much more than that. So keep that in mind. Keep that small mentality there. As some of these new episodes come out, I'm going to hit on some of these things that a lot of guys don't talk about. A lot of companies won't go off on. Management won't explain this, and I'm gonna go through that with you. And some of these new episodes may repeat some of the previous episodes, but with a little bit of a twist. And that's the thing that a lot will listen throughout these episodes is I may have contradicted myself in previous episodes and coming up to this episode, and even the ones that are coming, is that this industry is a changing industry. We're a very, 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 very old industry, and we haven't changed for 100 years. We are slowly and just barely now getting into changing and creating new things, right? And coming up with new stuff. But for example, the rat trap hasn't changed for 20, 30 years. Now we have plastic ones, whoa, that's a huge difference. But, that's what I mean is we're an old industry. Nothing has really changed. And now we're starting to get into that. There's a lot more focus on the pest control industry. We're a $1 billion industry, so it's huge. There's a ton of money here, and everybody can have a piece of that pie. It's not like it's not there. Only maybe 30% of residential homes even have pest control, maybe 40%. So we're talking 4 out of 10 houses have it. 6 don't. And there's probably 3 of those 6 probably don't even know what pest control is. I didn't know it when I was growing up. So keep that in mind. Understand that I'm going to change my ideas. I constantly am changing. I'm constantly learning. I constantly want to grow. And so some of the stuff I said before, probably stupid and outdated. And so going back and listening to it actually may be really good for you if you didn't know that before. But as you start to listen to more of the episodes, you'll start to understand that some of those things are now outdated, but it's okay because those things worked. It's just now there's a better method. There's a newer way. There's a better way to handle things. So keep that in mind as you're listening through those past episodes and these new episodes. Keep that small mentality. Keep that hunger, that drive. That's what's going to keep you growing in your career, in your business, in management, and whatever you're doing is keeping that open mind. Don't get stuck in the 40-year-old tech, 30-year-old tech that's like, this is what I've been doing for 30 years. This is what I'm always going to be doing. Take that out. Constantly learn, constantly grow. Keep a smaller, hungrier mentality. I guess that's better, right? Keep a hungry mentality. That hunger for growth, that hunger for drive. Keep it going. Stay hungry. So you can have that piece. You can have the piece of the pie. You can eat it. If you don't stay hungry, you kind of stay stagnant. You don't really learn. You want to keep doing what you were doing. That's when you start getting off. That's when you start losing and you start falling behind. And that's where I've seen we started taking off. I'll throw out one more example of that small mentality, that growth mentality, that hunger mentality. I want to say hunger mentality now. Don't get the small mentality. See, look. It's only been about 20 minutes into the episode and I already changed what I'm talking about, right? It's not the small mentality anymore. It's a hunger mentality. So the hunger mentality and what we did is I took a company that was around for 30 years, okay? 30 years. And we stepped in, and you probably heard this episode from way back. This company was a great company. They're known throughout the area. They've done great work. Nothing's wrong with them. I won't say anything's bad with them because I wouldn't have bought them if there was, right? If it was a crappy company, I would have just walked away. But they were known for being really good. They treated their customers really, really well. Their customers knew them. A lot of them grew up with them. And so when I took it over, now it was my turn to kind of change and add my flavor into things and really get even better with the work. Because what they were doing is they were great with customer service, but the actual work itself was slacking and they weren't getting things done properly. And a big one was with rodents. It was, here, throw some bait out, we're good. Put out a trap, we're good. That was the mentality there. That was kind of this is how we take care of the rodents. Instead of actually really taking care of the issue, is just, hey, let's slap a Band-Aid on it, we're done. Walk away. Even though it's a broken arm, we just put a Band-Aid. You'll feel better. Kiss the boo-boo. We're fine, right? Treat it like a little kid. Kiss the wound, they're happy. The problem is we never fixed the issue. So they had a reoccurring issue every single year. And they weren't charging these people to take care of these issues. And so at one point, one of the technicians, he started getting upset because he was making a commission off of everything he was doing. Well, the problem is you're going out to a home, you spend an hour there, you do all the work for free, and you just got your hourly rate. You didn't get any commission on top of it because they weren't charging any more. So what we came in and we said, okay, look, that's not fair. That's not fair for us. That's not fair for the tech. It's not fair for anybody. Once again, create that ownership, that smaller mentality. And So now what we've done is we came in, we changed the whole process. I've gone out to these customers' houses, and I was a tech. I never tell them I'm the owner. I'm a technician. And what happened is we started to explain. They're like, yeah, well, the past guy did it for free, and he did this, and he set out a trap, and it worked. But now we have them every year. And they started getting in this habit of, we're just always going to have the problem, and we know that. And so I stepped in and said, hey, look, we do it different now. We're going to do an estimate. We're going to quote you. We're going to charge you, but we're going to do it correct. And we're going to make it so you don't ever have any issues anymore. And what that did was the customer's mind exploded. Some of them had a little bit of pushback, but they bit the bullet and they're super happy. They paid the money and they're super happy. They're satisfied. It's wow, they actually did the work. They did the job. We'll pay them whatever they want now. And so that was that small mentality. They had that small mentality, but they had that old school small mentality. We had the hunger mentality. We want to satisfy our customers. We want to make sure they're the happiest out there, but we're going to do that by taking care of the issue, treating them well, and charging accordingly. And by doing that, it created something bigger than us. And so with that newer company, well, older company, but new to me, and my current company, we created that ripple. And now we have been constantly busy, nonstop, doing estimates, rodent work, bed bugs, cockroach, everything you can think of, without stopping on a consistent level, consistent basis, 5-star reviews after 5-star reviews, because we created that culture, because we kept that small mentality. Even though we're growing, we're becoming bigger, we're starting to eat more of that pie, right? It hasn't changed. And we're going to keep that going. So keep that in mind throughout this week. Keep that in mind. Really reflect on what that means to you, on what that means to have a hunger mentality, to really push. Create a habit of being the best. Don't create the habit of being mediocre. Once you create the habit of being mediocre, it's really, really hard to break the habit after that. When you go to a property and you give it your all, it changes everything. Because now every single property, you're constantly giving it your all, and the people are always seeing that, and they're saying, holy crap, like these guys are good. They're the professionals. They're the real deal. And that's how you get that. That's how you get to the next level. That's how you constantly keep growing, personally and, company-wise if you own one. So stay hungry, guys. Keep killing them bugs. We need to get rid of them, which we never will, which is beautiful about the industry. And I hate to say it, and I hope anybody outside the industry hears it. Well, doesn't hear it or hears it. We're never going to get rid of all the bugs, but we can do our best and get the best results in the fastest way possible. But do it on a consistent level. Keep that hunger going and keep pushing through and keep listening to the podcast and keep learning on your own and grow personally. There's more episodes coming out. They're not all going to be about bugs. Pre-warning right now, it's not about the bugs all the time. We have one about insurance. Go and listen to it. It's really, really good. Expand your knowledge on all levels, not just pest control. Whether owner, not, you want to, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you want to grow, just learn, open your mind, figure it out on all levels. But stay tuned for new ones coming. This year, I just want everyone to know it's going to be a little bit different. Episodes before were on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm changing that. I'm mixing it up. You're going to have episodes drop now on Mondays, okay? So this episode will be on Monday, and you're going to get another one on Friday. So right before the weekend, to keep your mind in it, and I'm changing this because I want everybody to be able to reflect on that first episode throughout the week, really put it into practice, And then come Friday, right before everybody's getting off of work and winding down, I want you to keep reminding yourself about the industry, about growth, about what you are really worth and what you can do. And so another one's going to come out on Fridays now. And so just be prepared for that, that pattern. I'm going to be as consistent as I possibly can. I'm going to pre-warn everybody and ask everybody, be patient with me. This is not my money maker, okay? So the podcast is not what I do for a living. I do it for free. I take my own time out of my own day to do this. I do have some help, but it's all me doing this. And so I want everyone to know, share this, share the podcast, please. It's free. I'm not asking anybody for money. Just go throw it out there. Spread the word around about the podcast. If you have any topics you want me to talk about, you have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to send me a message. Email is dnapestpodcast@gmail.com. Instagram is dnapestpodcast. Okay, so it's at D and A. It's the letter D, A-N-D, A, Pest Podcast. Reach out. Our website's live. You can go check it out. Once again, since I'm doing it really on my own, I don't update it too much, but the structure of it's there. You can send me messages through the website. You can get a hold of me. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of me. Send me new content that you want me to talk about. I am all about digging deep. I know a lot of people in the industry. I know a lot of guys who know a lot of guys. So you need me to talk about products, chemicals, techniques, anything you need, reach out. I'm here to help. So once again, thanks for listening to the DNA Pest Control Podcast. And remember, stay hungry this week. See you later.